So if I said to you the word chav, what would come to mind for you, or how would you describe that?
I think it's a very loaded term for me. When I think of a chav, I think of, a person hanging out on a council estate, dressed in a tracksuit, maybe drunk, or in any case acting in a way that's very sort of unruly or very impolite, perhaps drunk, surrounded in loads of kids.
How would you think that chav is the same as working class?
I think that at a specific moment in time, I think a lot of people began to confuse the two terms and considered all working class people to be chavs.
And on TV, can you think of a character or kind of a representation of what would be a chav?
I think there was a classic example from about 10, 15 years ago, Vicky Pollard in the series Little Britain. She spoke badly, didn't know how to express herself, was fat, unattractive, had loads of kids. And I think that's really the image that comes to mind.
Yeah, because some people were saying that there's a problem with the way the working classes or chavs are represented on TV and trying to decide whether it's offensive or not.
I mean, I think to some extent it's this idea that it's just holding up a mirror to society. It's a representation of one group of people, but then there are representations of lots of different groups of people. I think, just as there are chavs in some series, there are posh people in other series, and I think different classes are shown, and it's not always necessarily flattering, but it's not always insulting either.
No, but I think it's true that we mock other classes as well, but it's often seems to be more insulting when it's a chav who's represented. Because, for example, Vicky Pollard is so uneducated, commits crime, has lots of children by different fathers, and it kind of creates this image of the working class that isn't necessarily reflective of who they are.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with you, but then I think at the same time it's just a form of humour. I think it's definitely just exaggerating reality. I think that there are people in society who are somewhat like that, and they're exploiting this stereotype for humour.
And I just think that we need to be sometimes careful with this type of humour, because we have to ask what message that sends about certain groups in society, and also why we show people in that way. Because I think it can also have an effect, for example, on what people think about people who get money from the government, people who are on benefits. And sometimes it can be part of a bigger agenda, which I think can be dangerous, because we have less compassion for people if we see them as being all negative, like Vicky Pollard.
Annie, I think you're entirely right. I think that while I'm convinced these things are very funny, I think it's very important to separate what is humour and what is reality, and we shouldn't end up stigmatising people